Hello students, welcome to the 7th session of the chapter Electric Charge and Field. Now here are the contents. Starting from Introduction to Electric Charge, so far we have discussed till point number 6, that is Gauss law and its applications. Actually we have discussed with the first application of Gauss law, that is for spherical shell, uniformly charged spherical shell. And now we have to take up the remaining two applications as I've showed in this slide. Second and the third one, that is electric field due to an infinitely long straight uniformly charged wire, and the third one is electric field due to a uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. Now as I told, the second application, that is electric field due to an infinitely long straight uniformly charged wire using Gauss law. So now this is the thin wire, straight thin wire on which charges are spread uniformly. Now at some point around this uniformly charged thin straight wire, we have to calculate electric field. For that, as I told while explaining Gauss law, it will become very difficult if you make use of electric field due to individual charges and then do the summation using superposition law. For that purpose, Gauss has introduced the concept of making use of the Gauss law and the electric flux and to calculate electric field very easily. And now for that purpose again we have to make use of the Gaussian surface as well along with the flux and Gauss law. Here, to calculate electric field due to this uniformly charged infinite wire, I will choose a point P at a distance r from the wire, and now from this point of observation P, let us construct a Gaussian surface which is in the form of cylinder. Because if you increase the dimension of this wire, it will give you cylinder, or else if you decrease the dimension of the Gaussian surface what we have chosen, it will give you back this thin wire shape. So that is why, as I have told you in the previous session, choosing Gaussian surface is also very important to calculate electric field. It has to be very symmetry for our original shape of the body. Now for this wire, I have to make use of cylindrical Gaussian surface, this one around this wire, if at all we have to calculate electric field around it at any point. Now this will be the symmetric diagram cylinder for the thin wire. Earlier in the previous session, the derivation containing electric field due to spherical shell using Gauss law. For spherical shell, it was another sphere, that is actually the Gaussian surface, and here for the thin wire, cylinder is the one we have chosen, which is very symmetric to our thin wire, which is having uniformly charged wire. So now using this Gaussian surface, we have to proceed finding electric field. Now as I told, from the point of observation around this wire, draw the cylinder, and now we have to make use of two concepts. One is the definition of a flux and the other one is Gauss law. Now how do we make use of flux? For the purpose of making use of flux, here if you observe, there are three different phases for the cylinder to calculate flux out of the surface. Earlier for spherical shell, everywhere flux was same because every point it is the same. It is having the same surface. But here if you observe, the cylinder has two surfaces, the top and the bottom, and around the cylinder one type of surface. So that is why we have to make use of flux through these three surfaces separately and then add them to obtain the total flux. So now the net electric flux through the surface is total flux equals to flux through one end of the cylinder flux through other end of the cylinder, and the third surface which is around the cylinder. So introductory to this diagram, little bit you have to write for 1 mark, that is, consider an infinitely long wire which is charged uniformly, and here one quantity we will make use of it which we have already discussed, that is linear charge density. If you remember, that is defined as charge per unit length. Lambda is the symbol. I have already taught you in the first few sessions I believe. So now that is why this lambda will be of very useful in this derivation. Later you can see at the end of the derivation. Right now we introduce this in the description of the diagram. Now next you have to write, let P be the observation point at a distance r from the line charge. Let us construct a cylindrical Gaussian surface of radius r and length L as shown in the figure. Since the wire is infinite, you choose a cylinder which is a Gaussian surface of certain length L. Now what we have to do? We have to make use of calculating flux. See here, phi 1, phi 2, phi 3 are the fluxes through these three surfaces as I have explained earlier. Write that also. Here flux 1 and flux 2, that is phi 1 and phi 2 are flux through the end faces S1 and S2 of the Gaussian surface, and phi 3 is the flux through the curved surface S3 of the Gaussian surface. Now clearly define where we have actually kept phi 1, phi 2 and phi 3, that is fluxes along this surface. Now we have to calculate using the formula of electric flux. By definition, what will be the flux phi 1 value, what will be the flux phi 2 value at the two end faces of the cylinder, that is here. I'll just show you. So at this face and at this face, let us find out what is the value of electric flux. By definition, you know that electric flux is equals to summation of E ds cos theta, and theta is the angle made between normal to the surface what we have chosen and the direction of electric field. And see here, theta will make 90 degree because to this surface S1, normal will be exactly perpendicular to this surface. Any point on this surface you can choose. If you choose here also, normal will be like this to this surface and electric field will be like this. So at every point on this surface, normal to the surface makes 90 degree with the electric field. Hence you have to substitute in place of theta 90. Similarly, see here, S2 is also very much same, that is normal to this surface S2 or perpendicular to this surface S2 will be in this direction at every point. If you consider, I have chosen this point, and now electric field due to this thin wire, charges on this wire will be in this direction here, and if I am choosing this point, it will be in this direction, or else the other side it will be like this. So everywhere electric field lines around this uniformly charged wire moves like this across this wire, and field lines are normal to this surface will be always like this. So they both make again 90 degree. So hence S1 and S2, I hope you can make out what will be the answer. So it is summation of EDS cos 90, and here also phi 2 cos 90. Cos 90, since it is 0, you end up getting phi 1 and phi 2 as 0. And now only left flux is phi 3. Now let us choose this phi 3 through the curved surface as we have defined earlier. Now what happens, see here, carefully you have to observe the direction of field line and the normal to the surface. See here, due to this uniformly charged wire, field lines will be around this cylinder everywhere moving like this. Since I have chosen this direction, see this is the place where I have marked electric field E. So now this is the region, small unit area on the Gaussian surface. If you draw normal, it will also lie along the same direction as that of electric field line. Hence here theta between E and ds vector is 0 degree. If we substitute that here in phi 3, EDS cos 0 degree, we end up getting phi 3 to be equals to summation of EDS, and I have told you E is in magnitude same. So summation is applicable to only ds vector, and ds is nothing but surface area. We have chosen actually for unit area. We will extend that to entire area of the curved surface. So it will become 2 pi RL, because circumference will be 2 pi r for the cylinder and it extends up to length L. Hence its surface area, that is curved surface area, will be equal to 2 pi r times L. Now that is what here in place of summation of ds, on including all those unit area, we end up getting curved surface whose area is 2 pi RL. If we substitute that here, the flux phi 3 expression will be equal to E times 2 pi RL. So equation numbers, you just make a note of it, 2, 3 and 4, because these three we have to substitute here in equation 1, which was you have written in the previous slides. Flux, total flux equals to phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3, and phi n and phi 2 are 0. Now phi 3 is only the flux which we are left out with across the curved surface, which is E into 2 pi RL. Now that is why flux equals to E times 2 pi RL. And now it is the turn to make use of Gauss law. According to Gauss law, flux equals to Q by epsilon naught. So here Qi is the charge inside the Gaussian surface, only matters to the Gauss law electric flux. So that you should always remember. For the flux formula according to Gauss law, this charge is inside the Gaussian surface, you have to always consider. So now flux is Q by epsilon naught from Gauss law. Flux is E into 2 pi RL from the flux formula. Now both if you equate, LHS are same and therefore RHS are equated to give you E into 2 pi RL equals to Q by epsilon naught. Qi, or you can simply write Q. So now E into 2 pi RL, in place of this charge, now I am making use of lambda into L, because you know lambda is linear charge density, which is equal to charge per unit length. See here, lambda, if you want to write by definition, it will be Q by L. Hence Q equals to lambda L. If you go to the previous sessions like first or second, you will actually recall how exactly this is defined for continuous charge distribution. So now in place of Q, making use of lambda, you can write Q equals to lambda into L. So on cancelling the similar terms on both sides, we end up getting the expression for electric field due to a long uniformly charged thin infinite wire as lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught r. That is, by rearranging and cancelling this step, electric field to be equal to lambda equals to 2 pi epsilon naught r will be the equation for the derivation of electric field due to a straight long thin uniformly charged wire. This is the second application after the spherical shell, and this will be the thin wire. Next, let us go to the third application, that will be plane sheet, uniformly charged plane sheet. Now this is the third application of Gauss law, that is to find electric field due to uniformly charged infinite plane sheet. That is, here you can observe, this is an infinite plane sheet on which charges are spread uniformly, and due to the presence of charges here on the plane sheet, You can expect around it electric field. And now we have to calculate electric field due to this plane sheet on which charges are spread at any given point using Gauss law, especially because when you have a continuous charge distribution, as I have already taught you many times, it is very difficult in other ways to find electric field. So now Gauss law tells us that make use of Gaussian surface, flux definition and the Gauss law itself. It is easy then to calculate electric field for such continuous charge distribution. Now initially we have to choose for this plane sheet a suitable Gaussian surface, and here it will be a small cylinder which is inserted through this plane sheet as shown here will be the Gaussian surface, because electric field lines due to these charges on the plane sheet can be drawn to this right side like this, and to the other side of the plane sheet electric field lines can be drawn to the left side due to these charges. So hence this diagram what we have inserted, that is a small cylinder, will be of most appropriate Gaussian surface. Also you can very soon realize while calculating this electric fluxes how exactly this is chosen for Gaussian surface. See now, as usual, you have to describe the diagram for 1 mark. That is, let us consider an infinitely large uniformly charged plane sheet as shown in the figure, and here you have to make use of a quantity surface charge density as you did in the previous derivation, linear charge density lambda. Here since we are talking about surface, you have to make use of surface charge density. Now what is it? It is nothing but charge per unit area. Now we have to choose a point P, that is observation point at a distance r from the sheet where we want to calculate electric field due to this infinite plane sheet. Let this is the point P at a distance r from the plane sheet at which we are trying to calculate electric field, and from that point only we are drawing Gaussian surface. Now this is one face of the cylinder, this is the other face, and this is the curved face. So total you have already learnt in the second derivation 3 surfaces through which fluxes has to be found out. See now from the right surface, that is here, flux has to be calculated, which is written as phi 1, and across this phi 2, and through the curved surface let the flux be phi 3. That is what here we have written. We construct a Gaussian cylindrical Gaussian surface of cross sectional area A as shown in the figure. So that is, let A be the area of the cross section. The net electric flux through the surface is given by phi 1 plus phi 2 plus phi 3. That is equation number 1. And here phi 1 and phi 2 are flux through the n phases S1 and S2. Look at the diagram, you have to mention that here S1 and S2. And now if phi 3 is the flux through the curved surface S3 of the Gaussian surface. Next, we have to find expressions for phi 1 and phi 2. So from the definition of flux, it is summation of E ds cos theta. So here theta is 0 for phi 1, and again for phi 2 also theta is 0. So now let us understand that with the help of this diagram. See here, electric field lines are drawn in this direction from the positive charges. It moves away as you know. And for this surface, perpendicular or normal to this surface is ds vector, which is lying in the same direction. Hence theta between E and ds is 0. Similarly for ds and E vector for surface S2, the angle theta is again 0 because electric field line from this face of the sheet is moving towards left side. And now ds normal to this surface S1 will be in the same direction. So now due to S1 and S2, theta between ds and E will be 0. But observe carefully here, normal anywhere you can make use of unit area, and if you draw the normal it will be like this, here or here, anywhere. So here, even here also, the below side of the cylinder, normal will be like this, but electric field line is moving like this here. And if you consider here normal, electric field line will be moving like this. Hence, angle between this ds vector and E on the curved surface of cylinder will be 90 degree. So now remember, while substituting, theta for S1 and S2 will be 0, and for S3 curved surface it will be 90. Now let us substitute the same here. Phi 1, phi 2, when you substitute theta 0, you end up getting expressions as E into A, E into A. Because cos 0 is 1, so summation of E into ds, and electric field is uniform in magnitude, hence it is out of the summation. Now for the summation applicable only for surface area, that is ds, I have asked you to consider area of cross section to be A, so we have replaced ds, small unit area, for entire elemental area. On combining you end up getting surface area to be A. So now phi 3 is EDS cos 90, as I have taught you. Cos 90 is 0, so phi 3 will become 0. Now 2, 3, 4 we have to substitute in place of equation 1, that is total flux equals to flux 1 plus flux 2 plus flux 3. So flux 3 is 0. So due to this EA plus EA for flux 1 and flux 2 from 2, 3, answer will be, expression for flux, total flux will be 2 into EA. Now it is the time to make use of Gauss law. From the Gauss law, flux equals to Q by epsilon naught. See what Gauss law states, the total flux out of the closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by that closed surface. This is the statement of Gauss law. So now from this expression of flux and here from Gauss law, LHS are same. On equating these two RHS expressions, we get 2EA equals to QI by epsilon naught. And here I have taught you in the previous derivation, QI is charge inside the Gaussian surface, which is now equal to sigma into A, because this is now coming under surface charge density. So surface charge density is charge divided by area. Hence on cross multiplying, charge equals to sigma into A. And now in place of Qi, if I substitute sigma into A, and on cancelling area on both the sides, you end up getting electric field formula to be sigma divided by 2 epsilon naught. And this is the final form for the electric field at any point due to uniformly charged plane sheet. Here we don't worry about substituting for area, because on both sides it is getting cancelled. So that is why I have asked you to keep area as just A. But in the previous derivation, I have asked you to write the curved surface area, which was 2 pi RL. But here no need to worry, you just write A, because it cancels at the last step and you end up getting only E equals to surface charge density divided by 2 into epsilon naught. So these are the three derivations under Gauss law. Any of the derivation can appear for 5 mark in the board exam. So you have to be very thorough and learn this many times and practice it. Now let us move on to the questions of the topic. Only 2 questions here, because I have discussed 2 direct derivations. So for 5 mark, you have to derive expression for electric field due to an infinitely long straight uniformly charged wire using Gauss law, and for the uniformly charged infinite plane sheet using Gauss law. That is also for 5 mark. And you must also know, what do you mean by Gaussian surface? It is an hypothetical surface used to calculate electric field due to continuous charge distribution. This is for 1 mark. And this is about the entire chapter, electric charge and field. Here we end up with the sessions comprising of concepts, theory. Now we have to take up from next session onwards numericals. Before that, I would suggest you to make a list of formulae of entire topics what we have studied in 7 sessions, and be ready to solve topic by topic all the numericals. All the best, students. Thank you one and all for watching.